Appetite for Life is underwritten by the Sazerac Company, makers of fine spirits including Sazerac Rye Whiskey, Herb Saint, and Peychaud's Bitters. Sazerac, the one and only New Orleans original. More information can be found at sazerac.com. Additional support comes from Tableau, located on Jackson Square, serving truffle crab claws, barbecue shrimp and grits, and tarts a la bouille, lunch and dinner Monday through Friday, and brass band brunch on weekends. More information can be found at tableaufrenchquarter.com.
Thank you for once again joining us on Appetite for Life, our excursion into the culinary and beverage styles of New Orleans. I am your host, Tim McNally. Tonight we head out to Central California with George Daou, where he and his brother Daniel have brought back to life an historic property and built a brand new winery on the site. Daou wines are big favorites in New Orleans as they are bold and possess the weight to stand up to our indigenous cuisine. Speaking of indigenous cuisine, a new restaurant on Oak Street, DTB, is expanding the scope of Cajun cooking by blending the definitive styles of that other Louisiana approach to preparation of fresh ingredients into what is described as Cajun Creole. This marriage of all matters Louisiana is proving exciting. Then we will visit with cocktail expert Lou Brow. Her deft touch and creative styles make her a favorite in our community, sought out by cocktail enthusiasts from all over the world. It's all coming up in just a moment on Appetite for Life. During Tales of the Cocktail, we caught up with Jonathan Wingo, brand ambassador of the Balvenie, who tells us about his favorite scotch and its unique flavors.
The Balvenie comes from Speyside, which is a region of Scotland that has a very high concentration of distilleries. But at the Balvenie, we specifically look for honey and vanilla. And single malt is a very special style of whiskey where you're really celebrating one particular distillery characteristic. So the Balvenie is a single malt. It is one distillery making one type of whiskey. So single malt takes you to this rich depth, impossibly rich flavor, basically as a gaining over 12, 13, 14 years of getting that wonderful barrel influence along with their particular production methods. So we like to use barley as opposed to American whiskey, which would use mostly corn and rye. I love a good neat whiskey, and the reason why I go for neat is that you get a room temperature, lots of volatility, all the things that you want to smell and nose comes off the whiskey very, very easily. A little bit of water really opens up the whiskey. If you're in a place like New Orleans where it's nice and warm in the summertime, or I'm in Texas where it's nice and warm in the summertime, if you add the ice cube, you get all the benefits of dilution, plus it's bringing the temperature down of the whiskey, it makes it more refreshing, more enjoyable.
These are just some of the great items we will have on our Appetite for Life online auction show August the 17th and August the 20th. Mark your calendar and support WLAE-TV and Appetite for Life. Welcome back, Appetite for Life. We appreciate you being with us this evening. A very special friend of mine, a gentleman I am proud to call my friend from Paso Robles, California, George Daou, D-A-O-U. George, welcome to the show.
Good morning, and very happy to be here.
You are, sir, the end of the beginning of a very important project. You put a lot of work into Daou wines, and they're on the market. We love them here in New Orleans, as you well know, because you get here quite a bit. Let's talk about how the project started, George.
The project is and has always been a childhood dream. Both Daniel and I used to play in our grandfather's orchards. We had several olive trees and also vines. And our best time as children were around the vineyards. So we decided one day in our future we will have our own vineyard and we will produce a very high quality wine. And I really honestly thought this would have happened much later in my life, but circumstances are as such. As you know, sometimes destiny rings your bell way louder than you even anticipate. And the project started exactly 10 years ago in January of 2007.
Now, you and Daniel, your brother, who oversees the winery operations there, you and your brother grew up in Southern California, but now you're located in Central Coast California. That was a bit of a transition.
Well, we actually grew up in France, in between Paris and Cannes, in the south of France. And at the age of 19, I decided to come to the U.S., San Francisco in particular, to pursue a career in tech. And so I wanted to go to Stanford to get my degree. I ended up going to Berkeley and transferring to San Diego. And my brother followed me. And then we basically found our way in San Diego till 2007. You know, we found success in San Diego. It's been a wonderful home for us and for our entire family. And in 2007, he and I looked at each other and said, you know what, maybe it's time, you know, that we pursue our childhood dream. And we looked all over the world. We looked in Spain, we looked in Mendoza, Argentina. As you know, I'm a polo player, so Argentina was a favorite of mine. And we looked in Napa, of course, and then we almost bought 160 acres right by Peter Michaels in Napa Valley. And then we stumbled over Paso Robles as a complete shock and surprise. And we found out that the soil in Paso Robles is identical to the right bank of Saint-Emilion. And the weather on Dao Mountain, we call Dao Mountain today, which is the highest peak elevation winery in the whole area, is identical weather to Oakville. So it was a jewel of ecological elements, as Andrei Chalachev put it together. So we decided to take a gamble and basically take a leap of faith, plant the vineyard with the best clones, with the best trellises, best configuration, and apply a lot of passion and technology and humanity into what we do to produce the sort of wines we produce. And it's only really till 10 years later today that I can tell you unequivocally that the soil has delivered and the people that have joined us and walked with us have also delivered. And so we're very, very, very proud. But I'll also tell you that I think the best is yet to come. We haven't even scratched the surface of quality wines, disruption in the universe of wine that we anticipate will take place coming in from the region of Paso Robles that's now becoming very well known.
Now, George, that property that you're on had grown grapes prior to you, but it went fallow, didn't it?
The property had history, and actually had a really, really romantic history. A gentleman by the name of Stan Hoffman and his wife Terry. Stan was actually a cardiologist in Los Angeles, and he was Kissinger's cardiologist. He had the same idea as we did. In fact, he bought the property in 1961, which is the year I was born, incidentally. They planted it in 1965, which is the year my brother was born. They lost it in 1980, which is the year I arrived to the U.S. So it's almost like a confluence of events. Looking back, you can't but wonder, was this really destiny? What happened with Stan is at the time, the wines were very expensive and they weren't for everyone. And then they sort of started diversifying into walnuts and a few other things. And sometimes things don't work out. And I think Stan lost the property in 1980. We found out that Stan and Terry were still alive when we actually purchased the initial home where they lived, the tree house where Andre would stay, the office, and the exact winery. So we restored the winery in its original shape, and we invited Stan and Terry to come and see it, and they hadn't put foot there for years. And they gave us their blessing and told us they spent 20 years of their life there trying to make Andrei Chalachev's dream of jewel of ecological elements take place. So it was really an emotional moment for me because we had just lost our folks, and there they are. Incidentally, we had just gotten a 96 from Robert Parker and a 94, and those were the ages of Stan and Terry when we honored them
Great story.
At the launch of the winery. So it's been an emotional journey.
George, let's talk about the grapes that you're using. What do you have planted there on Dao Mountain?
When we came to Paso Robles, our intentions were really to make a superlative Cabernet, a very high-end Cabernet Sauvignon. Paso Robles in the past has been really known by wine lovers all over the world as a Syrah region or a Rhone region. We found out that the soil that we stumbled upon is perfect for Cabernet. And we also found out that almost 60% of all of the varietals planted in Paso Robles are Bordeaux varietals in Cabernet. But the Cabernet folks were not organized in promoting their wares to the world outside of Justin and Eberly. So we took a big leap of faith. We have all of the best Cabernet clones in the world planted on the mountain. And it's been a trial and error effort for the last 10 years. We plant some, we add some, we tweak some. You know how that goes. Today, we've got about 40 different Cabernet producers. We've created the Paso Robles Cab Collective. My brother, actually, Daniel, started that and is leading it. And we are marching forward, telling the world that Paso Robles, and in particular the Adelaida district where we are, is the new frontier for fine Cabernet Sauvignon. So it's become the approachable dream for Cabernet Sauvignon, for people from all over the world to enjoy the types of wines that we make.
George Daou. George, we love your wines here in New Orleans. It goes beautifully with our cuisine because our cuisine has weight and your wines have great gravitas also. So we thank you for your time. We'll keep enjoying your wines. When you come to New Orleans, George, I know that you enjoy staying at the Windsor Court and that your wines are prominently available there. A great spot for people to go and try your wares, as you say. Our best to your brother, and thank you for doing the great work on Dao Mountain. The 2017 Appetite for Life online auction is quickly approaching. Here to tell us about Flor de Konya Rum from Nicaragua is Shayla Richardson, the brand ambassador.
Flor de Konya Rum is a beautiful liquid distilled from molasses made in Nicaragua. So we are a single estate Nicaraguan rum. Well, the world of rum has a lot of variety. There are a lot of different styles out there. So Flor de Konya, being a Nicaraguan rum, means that all of the sugar cane that goes into our liquid is grown in Nicaragua. It's a very unique place, kind of known for the land of lakes and volcanoes. So the active volcanoes are constantly imparting natural ash and minerals back into the soil. So we have a very fertile, rich soil in the northern Pacific part of the country that we grow the sugarcane in. That imparts a nice minerality into the liquid and the final product. Flor de Konya Rum has been around for over 125 years. We are very proud to be family owned, 5 generations in. Quite a pillar of our company. Flor de Konya is also single estate, so everything in the liquid coming from Nicaragua. Another big pride point for us with Flor de Konya Rum. A lot of rums will source molasses from other countries. For us, it's truly a Nicaraguan spirit. My favorite way to drink Flor de Konya 18 is neat in a big snifter. You let it open up, sit and drink it slowly. It's a beautiful rum. Nice notes of tropical fruit, a little bit of caramel coming through, and I get, on the second sip, a beautiful waft of almost bananas Foster coming out.
Join us August the 17th at 7 p.m. and August the 20th at 5 p.m. to learn about all of the great items up for auction while supporting WLAE-TV and Appetite for Life. Welcome back to Appetite for Life. Big treat for you this evening, brand new restaurant uptown, and it's a delightful place. It's a gorgeous place, and the guy behind it, Carl Schauphut's right here. Chef, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Tim. I appreciate it.
DTB.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody know what that stands for?
You know, it's funny, a few people that come in really do. You know, it's kind of the acronym for Down the Bayou, and of course those people from, we like to say it's a celebration of the people from New Orleans all the way to the Gulf of Mexico and kind of the coastal Cajun region of South Louisiana. So.
But you yourself are from the German coast.
Well, my family is. I'm born and raised in New Orleans, so I'm a city boy. But my relatives are from Des Allemands, Louisiana, which is means the Germans in French. So it's that perfect mix of German culture, French culture, Cajun culture, and yes, in fact, down the bayou it is. So.
And you sort of play on that, don't you? That's what your restaurant's all about, is using that as a base.
Yes, it's about what we say, bringing the country to the city. So definitely, you know, I'm like I said, born and raised in New Orleans, so you know, I know more Creole cuisine driven. I'd say the Cajun culture didn't really come in too strong until probably the last 10, 15 years, really.
We never had that before here. We never had a big Cajun influence here until Paul Prudhomme. No,
and Paul came in, and you know, and I'm a Commanders alum as well, as a lot of people are in this city, and I followed Paul Prudhomme my whole life, even before it's kind of how my love for cooking started. But you know, even he, taking it to Commander's Palace, did it in a little bit of a city way. You know, he had to form it around kind of that Creole, Nouveau Creole kind of concept. So, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. And we're doing it in more of a modern day, and just with a different region of Louisiana, I'd say.
We're seeing a lot of that. It used to be that New Orleans was all wrapped up in its own culinary heritage, but now we're seeing a lot of what you're doing, which is just taking it off to the right a little bit, using our stuff, using our prep, that sort of deal. But then you bring in this Nouvelle or continental.
Yes, you know, and I'd say a lot of that's chefs these days. They travel, they get out there. You know, they go to culinary schools in different cities, and you know, whereas in the older days it was trained in one place and just worked your way up and never really left New Orleans. So my chef de cuisine over there, Jacob Hamill, he traveled the country the past few years. He went to Nashville, which is a booming hotbed for new chefs, and then South Florida as well. And I spent a lot of time in the Florida Panhandle and you know, that kind of area. So not only that, but the influx of different cultures, I'd say, in New Orleans. You know, you have a big Latino population now, a big Asian population
Katrina,
as well.
haven't we? We've gone Latino a lot.
Absolutely. And then the big, huge, you know, Vietnamese culture has grown and been more, gotten more exposure. There's even some more Korean influence. So that's all, you know, that all started our food, you know, was the Spanish and the mix of all the different heritage, African, you name it. So now it'd be a shame not to continue that and bring in these other cultural influences as well. And that's what we try to do with our food, is really make it unique and different, but still stay true to the passion, the pride, the technique, the ingredients that are South Louisiana and Cajun.
Chef, your restaurant, DTB, give us the address of it, please.
Yeah,
sir.
so it's 8201 Oak Street. So it's the first block off Carrollton.
It is spectacularly gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
It is very contemporary.
It is, you know. We wanted to set ourselves apart a little bit on Oak Street, being a historic street, being down the street from Giacomo's, and a place that needs not even say its name. You know, you say Oak Street, that's pretty much what you think of. So, yeah. And Jack's a great guy and a wonderful friend, and we wanted to really separate ourselves from kind of what they're doing. So, you know, we have an old historic building that doesn't look like much from the outside, but when you walk in, you have kind of this, it's just a fun atmosphere, a festive atmosphere, I'd say, and one that really invites big parties, loud parties, people that want to hang out for 3-4 hours at a time. Big,
oh,
wide
you know
open
us
space.
very well.
Exactly. Exactly, and we welcome that, and we love that, and we have a big open kitchen, a bar continuously goes right into the kitchen, and you know, I always say the reason we did it that way, designed it that way, was you know, the party always starts in the kitchen in Louisiana homes and in New Orleans homes, you know, and that's where it kind of starts, and that's where cocktails are made, and that's where, you know, everybody seems to matriculate all around the kitchen. So why not have that open kitchen that's kind of spills over into the dining room? So the room just feels like one big space where you have the bar, you have the kitchen, you have the dining room, and it's all kind of together. And that's really what we wanted. And there's definitely some Cajun touches with things that literally came out of the bayous of Louisiana by our designer, Valerie LaGrosse. She was incredibly talented. We had a great architect in Brooks Graham, who's done a ton of restaurants in the city as well. And the combination of all of us putting things together, it came into just a real cool, unique spot and a fun spot, and we hope everyone sees that and enjoys it.
Well, it's a total experience, and I love it. When you walk in, it's really a treat for the eyes, and then as soon as you work your magic back in the kitchen, it comes out on the table. What do we have here, Chef?
So this is actually, we rotate the menu. Being that we were only 2 months in, we're trying to hold back on changing it too much. But as chefs, you want to go with the season. So this is coming to an end, crawfish season here. It's actually a dish we're doing for a charity event coming up this week. But it's very indicative of the type of thing we do. So this is a Louisiana crawfish pimento cheese with a dill and lemon spiced pork rinds or pork skins. And then there's a little bit of a Louisiana jalapeno sriracha or fermented jalapeno hot sauce in there as well. So, one of my favorite chips growing up, or still to this day when my wife's not around, is the Cajun dill zaps, right? So I try to recreate that spice, which I think I did pretty well. And, we love our pork and seafood. So it's just a fun play. And, it's kind of what we do. We take certain dishes, certain ingredients, we try to break them down and then recreate them in a way that guests wouldn't really expect.
Chef Carl Schaubhut of DTB. Chef, thank you so much for being with us. Chef alluded to the cocktail portion of the culinary at DTB, and we're going to have his mixologist on, one of the grand ladies in town, Lou Brow. Just 1 second. Come on back. Let me introduce you to Tim McNally of Tullamore Dew, who was here in New Orleans at Tales of the Cocktail. He is the go-to guy when it comes to Irish whiskey.
To be an Irish whiskey, you have to be matured, matured in the island of Ireland for a minimum of 3 years. The ingredients of Irish whiskey are grain, yeast, and water. What makes Tullamore Dew different is we're an Irish whiskey, so we're going to be smooth, friendly. It'd be a bit boring if you're just smooth and friendly. We're made with 3 different types of Irish whiskey. Grain whiskey, which gives you that sweetness, malt whiskey, which gives you that citrus fruit, and pot still whiskey, which gives you this spice. So we're the only Irish whiskey that utilizes all 3 styles. So we have all the good things about Irish whiskey in every glass and in every bottle. The way I drink my Tullamore Dew is I'll change about, I'll go neat, rocks, sometimes in a mixed drink is fantastic. We're in New Orleans, a big cocktail city. My personal favorite too would be the Irish coffee, which are no strangers to here, and a Tipperary, which is made with Irish whiskey, sweet vermouth, and green chartreuse.
To learn more about the items up for auction, tune in August the 17th at 7 p.m. and August the 20th at 5 p.m. for more info on the Appetite for Life online auction. The DTB story continues. We have Lou Brow with us, the mixologist at DTB up on Oak Street, the new place. Lou, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I can't tell you how good it is to see you.
Oh, it's always good to see you, Lou, because you bring the goodies.
I bring a little fun.
You bring the goodies. So we've got with Chef's dish here on his crawfish dip. We've got some sparkling wine, but this is the real deal, isn't it?
It is indeed. It is. And I brought you another little something off our brunch menu.
Oh.
So this is called an Oak Street Spritz. And I like to use local as much as I can.
Sure.
And so I featured that with a little cat head honeysuckle vodka. The honeysuckle reminded me of where I'm from, North Louisiana.
I was going to say, listen to your accent, girl.
I know.
It kicked in.
And Peychaud's aperitif. I don't know if you've tried that yet.
I have not. This is great.
Sparkling wine.
And the orange, did you squeeze this fresh squeezed orange juice?
Just a little touch of orange in it with a little sparkling and soda.
Oh, that's refreshing. That's a great summertime thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it because it's not sweet. It's got a nice little bitter.
I like it for that same reason.
I do too.
Same reason. So you're very much involved, Lou, with Chef in making the drinks work with the food. That's the key to have that whole statement made. What is the fun of that? Do you taste a lot of food, then you figure out, wow, here's where I want to go?
Chef Carl is one of my favorite people to talk to about food. I mean, we just have a great synergy with it. We used to work together back at Cafe Adelaide, and actually I remember Carl from years ago when he was living in Florida.
Oh, wow.
And prior to
you
that,
go back a long way.
Yeah, long time ago. And we've just always loved culinary and loved talking about eating and drinking and having fun. And we always wanted to use ingredients in the bar that we used in the kitchen and vice versa. And we're doing that now, which I think is so interesting. Sometimes with things that he has left in the kitchen, I'll use and incorporate in the bar and vice versa. You know, we just really like to have a meeting of the minds. You know, every fun party begins in the kitchen. And
well, you add to it though. They got to come to you next if it begins in the kitchen. Well, Lou, making cocktails has been something you love for years. You're right in your element here with Chef up at DTB. What is it? What got into you? What caused all this to happen?
You know, I grew up loving to cook. I don't cook as much as I should or as much as I used to, but I grew up with a mother that canned all of her vegetables, fruits, jams, jellies, and so I learned how to cook from an early age. And you see some of that in my cocktails now. I always ask myself, if I had to do it over again, would I go to culinary school? I don't know the answer to that, but I've always loved being in the kitchen.
Yeah, yeah, and so you do. A lot of your drinks have to touch the kitchen because you have to cook some things and create some raw ingredients.
Right, right. And I think that's important. You know, we always want to use fresh, local when possible, as much as we can, and support those people that support us in our great city. What do you think the direction is of drinks at DTB? Do you think this is something that is an evolving situation? Because Chef indicated that his menu changes. Oh, well, our drinks are always going to evolve. The one thing that I want is for our drink program, for the drinks to always be approachable. I don't want anyone to ever come in and think, oh gosh, I'm scared to try that drink, or I don't know anything in it. I want it to pair with the food. I want it to be something that you understand that it came from the kitchen, and we share the same thought process when we're doing cocktails or food.
I love snackies that go with champagne. To you, Lou.
And to you.
Lou Brow, DTB, up on Oak Street. Carl Schaubhut is the chef there. They make a great team. Chef, I want to tell you that these do taste like Zaps. Tim McNally, Appetite for Life. We'll be right back. Mexico has some of the most unique spirits in the world. Here to tell us about them is brand ambassador Camille Austin to enlighten us about the differences between tequila and mezcal.
Well, there's a few differences between mezcal and tequila. You know, some people still think that they're the same thing, but in reality, mezcal is kind of like the granddaddy spirit of all agave spirits. So that means tequila is a form of mezcal as well. Another difference is that mezcal, artisan mezcal, can be a little bit smoky. The reason is because we take the piñas and we cook them in an underground pit over a course of several days. So this is kind of like a barbecue. You'll get a lot of that smokiness, and some mezcals can range from very smoky to not as smoky. And then you also can make mezcal by many, many different varietals. When in tequila, you can only be blue agave Weber. Well, tequila and mezcal are both made from the agave plant, and the agave is this incredibly diverse and really complex plant. It's almost like a human being. They're built to mature anywhere from 7 to many, many years, up to 30 years, depending on the varietal, depending on whether you know they're wild harvested, where they grow, if they're up in high elevation, low elevation, Central Valley. But this is a plant that can go for a long period of time without any water. They like high elevations typically, they like cool nights, and they harbor all of their sugars right there in that big round part of the plant that's underground that we call the piña.
To bid on these great items and many more, look for us August the 17th and August the 20th on WLAE-TV and join in the bidding fun while supporting your New Orleans Public Television. That will do it for tonight. Thank you for joining us. If you would like to enjoy this and previous broadcasts, please go to WLAE.com and click on the Appetite for Life icon. All of our shows are stored right there. We will see you again next time, and until then, don't lose your appetite for life.
Appetite for Life is underwritten by the Sazerac Company. makers of fine spirits including Sazerac Rye Whiskey, Herb Saint, and Peychaud's Bitters. Sazerac, the one and only New Orleans original. More information can be found at sazerac.com. Additional support comes from Tableau, located on Jackson Square, serving truffle crab claws, barbecue shrimp and grits, and tarts a la bouille, lunch and dinner Monday through Friday, and brass band brunch on weekends. More information can be found at tableaufrenchquarter.com.